Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Harry Potter, the Hogwarts Battle, the cooperative deck building game. So this is video part 2, so for some reason you didn't check out part 1. We went over the brief overview of what the game is, how it works, and how the expansions are more or less incorporated into it. So in this video, we're actually going to go through all the different boxes. So we have the 7 different games. So the only thing we really revealed so far is we showed off the player boards and the tokens. We did a brief look at the cards in the first one. But we're going to go through all the boxes. And then there'll be a little thing at the end. I'm going to kind of maybe see how after all the boxes are completely done, including the expansions, how you can combine them together. And that'll just be a little add-on at the end of the video, but I'll have to wait till after I finish the other 2 boxes. So yeah, we're going to jump through all this. So I want to also just mention again, spoilers for the movies. So if you're watching these and you're still working through and you're like, oh, I really love the first two or three movies and I want to pick up this game, and I want to get into, or if you haven't read the books, I mean, the books would be the same thing, but this is obviously based directly off the movies because you use screen art. There will be spoilers. Now, there's not going to be a direct spoiler of generally being like, oh, like, they did this thing, this person defeated this person, or this person died, or this person did this exact thing necessarily. The expansions might get a little bit more into that because you actually have events, which are going to mention parts of the game. This one, it's only going to have basically the characters, items, locations, and villains. So obviously you're gonna know what characters are villains later on that maybe might have been like, oh, I didn't realize the first time I saw them that maybe they were bad. Or same thing, you're gonna see some allies, you might be like, oh, when I first saw them, I thought they were evil. So there's gonna be spoilers like that. Plus there's some pictures in the game on some of the dark arts cards. That might spoil things, or eventually as we get through the later sets, you're going to see some items that are going to come up, which are going to be things that were used later in the movie for various things, and they will be spoilers there as well. So again, if you don't want that, and I also want to mention though, although there are 7 game boxes, it is not necessarily everything in game box 1 is only images from game box 1. Same through, go all the way through like 5, 6, 7. So, Don't be like, oh, well, okay, we've watched through movie 4. We don't want spoilers for the last one, so I won't watch anything because I don't want to get spoiled for the end of the movie because that might not necessarily be how it works. Just a quick idea with that is, so we just like the dark arts cards. We have an older Ron and older Harry, who are obviously not from book 1 or movie 1. So just a heads up there. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop into our character. Let's look at our starter decks first. We kind of know what we're dealing with. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way, drop my camera back down. So if we looked at our characters to begin with, let me grab all of them. We're going to start with good old Harry Potter. And I just got everything scattered all over the table right now. Alright. So all their base cards come from year 1. They don't have any special abilities on them. So they're just there so you know who you're playing as. Up in the top corner, they will show like what game they're from. So if you ever decide to resort these back out by game rather than just mixing everything together, we do have that. So we have, I can't be a wizard. I'm just Harry, just Harry. Alright, then we have Hermione Granger. And I will also apologize if I butcher any names, especially if some of the spells and stuff. I have watched through all 7 movies, just recently too, so lots of stuff hopefully is still fresh in my head. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to beg before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed, or worse, expelled. And we got good old Ron Weasley here. What do you think they're going to keep? What do you think they're doing keeping a thing like that locked up in their school? And our 4th one is Neville Longbottom. Only a problem is I can't remember what got forgotten. So this is obviously Harry, Ron, and Hermione are the 3 main characters. So why is Neville the 4th character? Because who else is in the movie as much as he is? There's no other character that's not a teacher or an adult that has been in, I think, every single movie. And I'm not going to guarantee all of them have been in every movie. So that's why I picked Neville. As I showed in the first video, kind of the overview. If you get the expansions, you can also pick up Luna, Lovegood, and Ginny Weasley as well. So there are 2 additional characters in case you don't want to play as Neville. You could switch out if you have the expansions. The last oversized card we have is we have 4 copies of the turn order. So this just reminds you, reveal and resolve dark art card events, then resolve the villain abilities, play your Hogwarts cards, and take your heroic actions to play your player turn, and your turn discard any remaining cards and tokens and draw 5 new cards. So very, very simple what we're doing there. So let's start with Harry's deck. So each starter deck has 10 cards. So you have 7 of the same spell. Now, this is one thing I've noticed was a complaint while looking over this reviews of this game and stuff, is people said these decks do not change throughout any of the games. Whether you play all 7 games or if you have both expansions, they don't change at all. Which in general, I could kind of see where that could potentially be an issue. But again, they're designed, the way this game is designed is all 7 games are just like one big box set. So if you picked up a different deck building game, everything would just been mixed together. This is ideally the same thing. They just broke it up into little sets to kind of teach you how to play the game and get it more difficult. And then add the expansions. You can kind of understand where someone like, oh yeah, now I'm adding more and more content. Things could get a little bit harder. I don't adjust my deck. You don't, but you do get upgraded player cards. We just saw the character cards that had no skills on them. Later in the game, you get ones that have special abilities on them. And then you also can get proficiency cards, and then later on, Patronus cards. You get other abilities that get in there as well. So it's not like you don't change from game 1, all the way to game 7. You do get upgrades, you're just not to your starting deck. Which I think is perfectly fine. I play Marvel Legendary a ton of times, or DC deck building game. You don't start with any brand new cards in them. You start them from scratch. And I'm going to guarantee that there's a lot more stuff in there that can beat you quickly than this game. Because you could literally lose some of those games on turn 1 if you're turn 1 or 2 if you just did a bad draw. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's read it. So we have 7 of these cards. We have Alohomora, which gains you 1 influence. So influence is what you use to purchase new cards. That's why you start with a lot of them. Characters don't generally start with a bunch of attacks, just because what are they going to do with them, right? Alright, then we have, Harry's signature cards are the Invisibility Cloak. So you gain 1 influence. It says, if this is in your hand, you can't lose more than 1 health from each villain or dark arts event. So at the end of every turn, you have to discard a card. So you have to discard your card. So it's not like you hold this from turn to turn. So during your turn, there's no reason to not play this. But when you have it in your hand in between turns, and at the beginning of your turn, because the dark art and villain goes first, he'll have a little bit of protection. So it's kind of helpful for him. He gets a little bit of bonus there. He has his Firebolt Broom, which gets him 1 attack. If you defeat a villain, you also gain 1 extra influence. And then he has an ally in Hedwig. So you can choose to either gain attack or gain 2 health. So kind of nice. He gets a healing ability right off the bat. So that's always fun to start with. Alright, so if we look at our next one, we're going to look at Hermione. So she also has the same 7 spells. For her items, she's going to have the Tales of Battle of the Bard. So choose one. Either gain 2 influence or all heroes gain 1. So this is kind of neat because Harry had one way of just gaining 1 ability, but he had a way to protect himself. Here's the thing. It's I really need this spell. You can boost yourself up. But then later in the game, you might be it might be more beneficial to me giving everybody else a little bit more help. So it's kind of fun. Just a little different way to play as her. She also gets her Time Turner. So gain 1 influence. You may put spells you acquire on the top of your deck instead of your discard pile. This kind of show that she learns really fast, right? Also, I think it's the time traveling kind of thing as well. So when she buys a spell, she gets on top of her deck, and she's drawing it next turn, as long as you've played this card. So it's pretty cool. And then her ally is Crookshanks the Cat. So choose one, either gain 1 influence, or gain 1 attack, or gain 2 health. So the same as Hedwig. So it looks like all their allies are going to be the exact same ability. So it's really they have 2 different cards, but still that's fine, because it gives them each at least a healing ability. Alright, then for Ron Weasley, we have our 7 Olamora spells. He gets birthday bouts every flavor being, so gain 1 influence per each ally played this turn, gain 1 attack. So he's going to want to gain allies, and I think this is kind of supposed to be like the Weasley family. Like if he has a bunch of Weasleys with him, although it can be any character, it doesn't have to be that, but it's kind of a neat idea for that. I do wish these item cards had also appeared in the main deck. That's the only thing I would say is I wish they had options to get some of these. But I kind of did it. So he gets the Queen Sweep 11, gain 1 attack. If you defeat a villain, you also gain 1 influence. So it's the same exact as Harry's broom as well. So it's the same exact thing, just different names. So again, they could have easily put like some of these in the main deck, which would have been interesting. And there might be cards in the main deck that have the same thing. So then we have Pigwidgeon, his owl. It says choose 1, gain 1 attack, or gain 2. Now, let's look at Neville's, and then I'll talk about what my thought is on these starter cards a little bit more. So we have his 7 Awomoras. We have Mandrake. Choose 1, either gain 1 attack, or any one hero gains 2 health. So he can help heal everybody. So this is kind of an interesting thing. So if you only play like a 2-player game and you're only using 2 of these different characters at a time, what abilities you choose are going to be very interesting. I would almost think you should almost play this game as 4-player regardless. So if you're only going to play 2 people, each person should have control 2 wizards. I know it gets a little congested or a little confusing to do that, having to play 2 separate decks of cards. But I think the idea, though, if you went like player A, player B, player A, player B, then it wouldn't be as bad, so you're not like one guy sits around for 2 full turns not doing anything. But otherwise, yeah, you're losing some of the extra healing or influence gaining stuff. But that could also be part of your challenge, too. We have his Remember All, so gains 1 influence. If you discard this card, gain 2. Now, you can't just choose to normally discard a card. There are various effects that are going to force you to discard cards from your hand or other cards you play that might want you to do that. So like, beginning of the game might not be as super helpful, but later in the game could be a little bit better. And then he has his Alex, his Trevor, choose 1, gain 1, gain 1 attack, or gain 2 health. So, I don't mind the cards lots of the cards are the same. The spells are all the same, and the allies are the exact same. That's perfectly fine. Because if you play most deck building games, everyone just starts with generic cards with absolutely no differences. At least this gives you slight differences for each character. Just to make the game a little bit more interesting, but nothing terribly powerful. I do wish, however, they had, again, like I said, I wish they had some of these guys that had been in the decks as well. That would have been kind of neat. I get like their allies. I do think though what they should have almost done is they should have gotten rid of one of the items and made the allies more unique, kind of maybe to their character or their like even not necessarily characteristics of the animal, but maybe characteristics of the wizard. And then change the ally card. Should have almost been the wand. They should just have like a generic wand, which either it doesn't attack or they can use it to heal. I think that would have been a little bit more flavorful, because then everyone has a wand in the game. Makes sense. And again, if you wanted to do a different picture, you could have a picture of each of their wands. Or if they have like pictures of them in the game. I don't know if they ever really show Neville's up close enough to do that, but that could have at least just been, even if it just said wand, would have been kind of interesting, like a starting type wand. Yeah, the allies could have maybe even done something a little bit different, like maybe again leaning towards each character. I think that would have been a little bit more interesting, but it's what it is, right? All right, so then we're going to look at the full Hogwarts deck. So this is the main cards that we're going to get purchased throughout the game. So they're going to look just like the ones we looked at. Game 1, except they're not going to have the tag at the bottom. And then they're going to have a big giant coin, which is how much they cost. So typically the higher the cost, the more powerful they are. And so much is going to be how useful they are as well. So we have Hagrid. We have Rubus Hagrid, who gains you 1 attack, and then all heroes gain 1 health. So like we had our allies there, right there, it gave you 1 or 2. He's kind of giving you the benefit of both. He's healing everybody, but he's also doing 1 damage. We have Oliver Wood, who gains 1 attack. If you defeat a villain, any one of your heroes gains 2 health. And then we have Albus Dumbledore. All heroes gain 1 attack, 1 influence, 1 health, and draw a card. But he costs 8. So every time you play this, that's going to be super powerful for somebody to get. So definitely really fun there. But now there's only 3 allies to start in the first game. So as we open up game 2, game 3, game 4, we'll gain more and more allies from later in the series. So it's always really fun. And then like later, so like right now, you're probably going to have a chance of getting Dumbledore fairly quickly. But when you start adding all the other cards, he's going to be a lot harder to find. But we'll have other 8 card guys to draw as well. Alright, then we have some magic spells. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copies of Reparo. So this one says, choose 1 card, gain 2 influence, or draw a card. Now, I am going to point this out right now. This is not in the rules, but this is how I play lots of my deck building games. Because again, the way they work is you draw half your deck on their first turn, so you purchase cards. Your second turn, you purchase more cards. It's not until your third turn, unless you have some other outside game effect that lets you draw cards, that you get to you get to add any of the brand new cards from your hand that you just draw. So basically, you have to play 3 turns before you get even a chance at drawing any of the new cards. And even there, you might only get 1. It's, if you have 10 cards in your deck here, you might have only bought 2, so you have 2 in a 12 chance to draw one of those new cards on that turn. So you can even go turn 4 or 5 before you ever get any of your new cards, which is, I think, a long ways to get into the game. So what I usually do is I find one of these basic cheap cards in the game deck that have multiple of the same copy. I give everyone the same thing. So there are 6 copies of Reparo. There are 6 total characters. You want to play a 6-player game. It's designed for 4 in the core set, 5 with the expansions. But I think you could easily pull this Reparo spell out and put this in the in each player's deck as a starting spell. If you want to keep the deck a little bit even, you could get rid of one of the other spells as well, the Alomoras, or just add it in there. But then what the option there is, because if you just replace one of the cards, you replace one of the other cards, and now you still have 10 cards in your deck. So your first hand, you're going to draw 5 cards. You might play this and be able to draw a 6th card, which means on your second turn, you're going to reshuffle your deck already, and you might have a chance of getting that card you purchased the first turn. Or if you only play 5 and it's not in there, it'll be on your second hand, which means when you play this card, you might have the chance of drawing a card, which will make you obviously reshuffle your deck, because at that point you wouldn't have any cards in your discard pile. But then you can also use that to potentially gain either 1 or 2, or how many other cards you purchased in either round. So I think it's just kind of a fun thing. And you might be like, hey, maybe I don't want to do that. And then you could just use it to at least gain 2 cards as well. Just get your extra influence, so that at least when you do get into the later stuff, you at least have an interesting start. So that's something you could do if you think the game starts becoming a little bit too hard. Just your thought process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. We have 2 copies. Some of these look the same. So you have 2 copies of Lumos. All heroes draw a card. So someone would be like, why don't you include this in there then? Because every player drawing a card, potentially early on, way too powerful. I think not it's not a powerful effect. I think it's just too powerful to have in your starting hand. Because it would give players that haven't already went. By the time you got to the 4th player, they could potentially have 4 extra cards in their hand on turn 1, which would be a little bit of abusive. And plus, it wouldn't seem fair to everybody else, right? Although each person would be drawing a card, the first player would only get to draw 1 card, and then the second player could have 2 cards, so it wouldn't wrap around back till the 4th player, but then by the time you start getting there, it would just compound way too quick. So we have 4 copies of Incendio. So deal an attack and draw a card. This could potentially be one you could throw in there as well. But again, having the draw a card and doing an attack that early on might be too far. If it said or, I would definitely say do it. We have 2 copies of Descendo. Descendo gains you 2 attack points. And then we have 3 copies of Wingardium Leviosa. Game 1 influence. You may put items you acquire on the top of your deck instead of in your discard pile. So much like Hermione's, but you can only put it in your discard pile. So now one thing I also mentioned, there's only 3 of these. So you're only going to be able to put, so you wouldn't be able to add those into the game. I usually like to do 2-cost cards, so they're a lot cheaper. I think they're almost the equivalent of starter cards. That's actually not a bad card to put in every deck. This being said, there's also the other option of, as the game goes through, we'll see more cards that come out. You could put a different 2-cost card in each person's deck. Again, replacing maybe even one of their wands, giving them something extra, a little bit special. Or as you advance the game, you're like, hey, as we play through to game 3, maybe game 3, game 5, game 7, add one extra cheaper card to the deck, like add a 2-cost card, add a 3-cost card, and then you start, or replace a card from your deck, like, you could try it. I haven't tried it to know if it works. But you can do like game 2, or start with maybe like game 3, replace a card with a 2-cost. Then game 4, replace with a 3-cost. Then game 4. And then you might start with more powerful cards right away. It's a possibility, but it also might be too powerful. We have 1 copy of the Golden Snitch, which says draw 2 and you gain a card. You gain 2 points and then draw a card. We have 4 copies of Essence of Dignity, which heals any one hero, gains 2 health. So if you find yourself dying a lot, that's always a potential to throw these in there instead. And then we have 4 copies of Quidditch Gear, which says deal 1 attack and gain 1 health. And then the last card we have for our starting deck is the Sorting Hat, which says gain 2 influence. You may put allies you acquire on top of your deck instead of your discard pile. So cool. That's our starting deck, and that will increase as we go along. Alright, so for game 1, we also have Draco Malfoy. It says each time a token is added to the location, each active hero loses 2 health. And then you defeat him or remove 1 from the location. Quirkus Quirrell, so it says active heroes all lose 1 health. So whoever the active player is, so it's on your turn, only that player loses a health. But all heroes gain 1 influence and 1 health. And then our last villains for game 1 are Crabbe and Goyle. Each time a dark art event or villain causes a hero to discard a card, that hero loses 1 health. And then it says if you win, all heroes draw a card. Our 2 locations we're going to play at are Diagon Alley, which has 4 spots, and the Mirror of Ursarid, which also has 1. So on here, it's going to tell you how many dark arts. As you advance through the game, that can easily jump up to like 2 or 3. So the harder locations are going to have harder things to deal with. Alright, then our last sets of cards for the first one is we have on the back here, we have the dark arts. So we have 3 copies of He Who Must Not Be Named. Add a control token to the location. We have 2 of the Flipendo. Active hero loses 1 heart and then discards 1 card. So just kind of point this out as one thing, is this works really well with Crabbe and Goyle. So every time they flip 1 and have to discard a card, they lose a heart for that, then they lose another one. So they lose 2 hearts for each one. So that could definitely be bad, and they could compound. And then if they defeated you, and you also add a token to the thing, if you had Draco, then you also, it could definitely hit everybody. 3 copies of Expulsio. Active hero loses 2 health, and then 2 copies of Petrification. All heroes lose 1 health, and cannot draw extra cards this turn. Active hero draws 5 new cards at the end of their turn. So yeah, you can't play any cards to draw new cards, but just to state that at the end of your turn, you still do discard and draw your new hand of cards. Much like when it says you can't heal if you're stunned until the end of your turn, when then you heal back up. Alright, so that's game 1. Let's hop into game 2. Alright, so we beat game 1. We beat Draco and his henchmen and Curtis. So now we hop into game 2. So game 2, I kind of showed this in the first video. Each game is going to have their own little instruction manual, which is just going to explain what happens. It's going to tell you the game setup. So here it's saying replace all the locations with the new locations. So we're only going to use those. But shuffle all the dark arts, all the villain cards, and all the Hogwarts cards together. So we're adding new stuff to the game. So we're going to have more villains to fight, more dark arts to go after. So just upping the difficulty. And then preparing your deck, everything stays the same. Just always a reminder, you don't get to keep any of the cards you had. So all of the hero cards, the starting cards go back to their own starting decks. All the Hogwarts cards, it's mixed in. So it does say, just like mentioned, like, the Chamber of Secrets, location 303, reveals 2 dark arts instead. You must defeat 6 villains, and you can only have 1 villain face up at a time. Newly acquired cards go to your discard pile, and discard items. This reminds you what to do on your turns, and then what to do if you're stunned. So yeah, very cool. So this kind of goes through that. So let's take a look at our brand new Hogwarts cards we're going to add. We're going to have some new allies. We're going to add in Ginny Weasley. Or Ginny, probably. I keep saying Ginny Weasley. So she gives you 1 attack and 1 influence. So one thing I also just kind of mentioned, again, kind of talking about the full game in general, is that if you're playing with the Potion and Charms box, and you add her as a playable character, whether she's the 5th character, or you swap her out for somebody, you then need to remove this card from the deck. And then one of the later expansions adds Ron, Harry, and Hermione, and Neville as cards as well. Just because you can't be playing as them and also run into them. Alright, we get Dobby the House Elf. So remove 1 control from the location, draw a card. So that's fun that we have cards that are going to let you do that. So it's not just, oh no, a villain got that, I'm stuck, I'm always against losing battle. Someone could get Dobby and then at least potentially every once in a while remove one of the locations. We have Fox the Phoenix. Choose one, gain 2 attack, or all heroes gain 2 health. We get Gilderoy Lockhart. Draw a card, then discard any 1 card. If you discard this card, draw a card. So this is kind of a fun one, because we had, like, Neville had his Remember All card, and we're going to have other cards in there as well. They gain bonuses for being discarded. So here you can draw a new card, and you can discard that Remember All to gain its effect. Or if something makes you discard a card, you can choose to discard this, and you get a card to replace it. So that's pretty fun. We get Molly Weasley, the mom. So all heroes gain 1 influence and 2 health. Or we can get Arthur Weasley, the dad, who gives all heroes gain 2 influence. I like this fact that it gives everybody. I love that as a cooperative effect. I've played, again, I've talked about Marvel and DC. I've played so many of those games which are supposed to be cooperative games overall, but like they have the competitive aspect of like, oh, I'm trying to defeat more guys than you. But so they don't have a lot of stuff where you really benefit every ally. DC did make cooperative crisis modes, which they have some cards that have abilities that kind of help each other out, like you can give a card to another player, but usually it's at the detriment of yourself. Like, I buy a card, I can give it to them, which means I have less cards in my deck than them, and it's a neat idea. But I like this idea of just giving everybody extra bonuses on their turn. Marvel and the Aliens deck building game for Legendary did add the cooperate ability in there, or coordinate ability, which did let you do stuff on your opponent's turn, which was cool, but it was, it came way late in the game. Alright, we have 2 copies of some more spells. We have Expelliarmus, so gain 2 attack and draw a card. Then we have 2 copies of Finite, remove 1 control from the location. So again, this is cool. We can get more cards that let us do this. For some items, we have 2 copies of the Nimbus 2001. Gain 2 attack. If you defeat a villain, also gain 2 influence. And then we have 2 of the Polyjuice potions. So choose an ally you have played this turn. You may copy the effects of that ally. So that's really fun. And then as the game increases and goes on, you get more and more different allies. This is going to become more and more of a fun card. Very cool. Alright, our locations, we're going to start with the Forbidden Forest. Just has 4 spots. The Quidditch Pitch, which also has 4 spots. And then we jump into the Chamber of Secrets, which just has 5, but also has 2 dark arts that show up every turn. Then for some villains, we are going to start with the Basilisk. Heroes cannot draw extra cards. And then reward all heroes who draw a card, remove 1 control from the location. We might have to fight off against Tom Riddle, though. For each ally in hand, active hero chooses 1. Either lose 2 health or discard a card. So he's punishing you for having allies. So if, like, you have an ally, like, hey, no one really has too many allies right now, you could maybe ignore him for a turn if you had to. Otherwise, obviously try and take him out. Like, we're in these early games, there's only one villain at a time. There's no reason if you have attack points not to attack them. But later, when there's 2 or 3 villains, you might choose, for example, if you had the Basilisk and Tom out, you might decide, hey, no one really has an ally, or everyone only has one ally in their hand. Hey, can we afford to not attack him? Yeah, let's focus on the Basilisk first. But if you have a bunch of guys that have allies, you might be like, okay, we need to take him out quickly. Or one guy might be like, I have 4 allies in my hand, so if I'm the 4th player and he gets to me, I basically lost my turn. So you could be like, alright, everyone attack him first, we'll ignore the Basilisk for the turn. So cool. So, again, cooperation. All heroes choose one, gain 2 health, or search their discard power for an ally and put it in their hand. And then we have Lucius Malfoy. Says each time a control is added to the location, remove 1 hit from all villains. So he's going to keep healing villains. And the reward is gain 1 influence and remove 1 control from a location. So very cool. Alright, then we have our brand new Dark Arts, which we're going to have 2 copies of Hand of Glory. Active hero loses 1 heart and add control to the location. We have Poison. All heroes choose 1, discard an ally, or lose 2 health. We have 1 copy of Relatio. All heroes choose 1, discard an item, or lose 2 health. And then we have 1 copy of Obliviate. All heroes choose 1, discard a spell card, or lose 2 health. And that's kind of fun. You kind of see we're getting some differences. Instead of just losing a health, you're having some options. But it's hitting everybody. And again, that's, I think, what also, if you're going to have cooperative stuff where you can help each other, why not give the villain players the ability to help each other as well? So, very fun there. Alright. So, yeah, not a lot of extra cards in each of these boxes. There was, a total of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 25 brand new cards in that box, so not a ton. So each one's only got to add a handful of little cards. So they're not like, it's not like you're playing a full new deck of cards, like you're buying a brand new expansion for each set. But they're adding enough extra little things in there. So game 3, we're gonna have a couple of rules in here. I'm gonna back out just a tad here. So then we have our location cards. So use the brand new locations, but shuffle all your Dark Arts together. So I love this. New. Shuffle all villains together, but reveal 2 villain cards in this space. Now you have to fight 2. Now we're in game 3, which is where they think this actual starting point of the game should be. It says we have 16 Hogwarts cards. Shuffle all them, and then reveal those. We have 4 upgraded hero cards. So now we have a little bit better upgraded characters. And then we have a chipboard token. So carefully punch these out. These are used for Petrifius Totatus. So we get some new tokens. I also love this as a fact. Like, they didn't just throw these in the box, and then we're like, oh, figure out what these do or where they go. Nope, you don't unlock them in the game until you unlock the spell that goes with them. So I think that was a really cool idea. So I'm just going to show, like, all the regular stuff stays the same, except now we have 2 villains out at the same time. Which is also going to be like, because we had 3 villains in the first one, 3 in the second, so we had 6. So now we have 7, 8 total villains to fight. So just a little extra there. And then prepare a hero. Replace your game 1 hero with the new one. Your magical training is improved and now have an ability to use throughout the game. As in the first 2 games, shuffle your stack of starting heroes into 10 and draw 5 cards. So now this is the idea supposed to replace when people like your deck never changes. Because now you're starting off, every game not only has 3 signature cards, they also have a special ability that's unique to them, which is going to make them a little bit different. Cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at our heroes first. So we're going to look at brand new Harry. So same backs on there, but Harry Potter's going to say game 3. So a little bit older Harry. We have the first time a control is removed from the location, each turn any 1 hero gains an attack. So it doesn't matter whose turn it is. Doesn't matter who removes it, how it's removed. Defeat a villain that removes it. Play a card like Dobby that removes it. As long as someone does it, any hero gains an attack. So that can help set up for later turns. For Hermione Granger, we have if you play 4 more spells on your turn, any one hero gains an influence. She only gets it if you play a thing on there on your turn, but she wants to play spells. So this is kind of fun because it's going to kind of push you as her to play more spell cards. So as Ron Weasley, if you assign 3 or more attack on your turn, any one hero heals for 2. Kind of makes sense. I wish his went kind of more like his owl and stuff, which had, or not his owl, but his, some of his other cards had something to do with allies. So it should have kind of been like, one character does spells, one does allies, one does items. That would have made a little bit more sense. But that's alright. Having him a little bit unique like that is cool too. And then Neville Longbottom says, the first time each hero gains health on your turn, that hero gains 1 additional health. And now, this could actually combine with Ron's ability as well, if you're playing both of them. So very cool. Just some upgraded cards to make them all a little bit different from each other. Kind of maybe, again, stack what order you might go after the cards in. Then we have our brand new Hogwarts deck. So we have some, not new, but we have some new characters in there. So we have Sybil Trelawney, who says, draw 2 cards and discard any 1 card. You discard a spell, gain 2 influence. So kind of a good replacement effect. Plus, again, there's cards you gain bonuses from discarding. We get Sirius Black. Gain 2 attack and 1 influence. Remus Lupin. Gain 1 attack. Any 1 hero gains 3 health. We have 2 spell cards. Expecto Patronum. Gain 1 attack. Remove 1 control from a location. We have 2 of the Petrificus Totalius. So gain 1 attack. Choose a villain. Until the start of your next turn, that villain's ability does not trigger. So that's going to let you throw 1 of these on there. So there's only 2 spells, which is why there's only 2 cards for that, and not 3, even though you can have 3 villains. For some items, we have the Marauder's Map. Draw 2 cards. If you discard this, all heroes draw a card. We have 3 of the Butterbeers. Any 2 heroes each gain 1 influence and 1 health. We have 3 of the Chocolate Frogs. Any hero gains 1 influence and 1 health. If you discard this, gain 1 influence and 1 health. And then we have 2 Crystal Balls. Draw 2 cards and discard any 1 card. So it kind of works like the teacher who uses it, which is very cool. Very thematic. Alright, then we have some villains. Or sorry, we have some locations first. We're going to jump to the Hogwarts Express. So this has 5 to start with, and then has just 1 Dark Arts. And then we jump to Hogsmeade Village. We get 2 Dark Arts, but now it has 6 locations we have to beat. So again, more villains. We obviously need more things to defeat, otherwise they're going to beat it too quickly. And then we have the Shrieking Shack, which also has 6 and 2 Dark Arts. Then our 2 new villains, we're going to start with Peter Pettigrew. Active heroes reveal the top card of his or her deck. If its value is 1 or more influence, it discards it and adds 1 control locations, as long as it's anything other than a starting card. And then for rewards, all heroes may search their discard pile for a spell, put it in their hand, remove 1 control from the location. And our other ones, we're fighting a Dementor. Active hero loses 2 health, all heroes gain 2 health, and remove 1. Cool. Alright, then we have a few new Dark Arts. We have Taren Telegra. Active hero loses 1 health and cannot assign more than 1 damage to each villain this turn. We have the Opokun... Oh, I'm going to mess this one up. Opungano. All heroes reveal the top card of their deck. Heroes who reveal this card of the value of 1 or more discard a card and lose 2 health. And then we have 2 Dementor's Kisses. Active hero loses 2 health, all other heroes lose 1. So these cards are a little bit more dangerous. Now, the thing is, you have to remember, if you reshuffle, once you start playing those, you shuffle these all in, you can end up with this as the first card of the game. First event you draw, you can end up losing 2 health and everyone else loses 1. Which isn't even terrible, because you start with 10 health. It'd be different if you only had, like, 4 or 5 health every turn. Oh, now I'm half dead. But starting with 10, taking a hit here and there isn't a big deal. And getting stunned isn't the end of the game. It's not like you're out for the game. Like, that would even suck if you lost all your health, you lose the game. No, you just basically lose like half your turn. not even your full turn. You just lose half of it. You discard half your cards and lose tokens. So cool. Alright, let's hop into game 4. Alright, so we're on to game 4. Game 4 is a big, thicker box. You might be like, ooh, why is it such a thick? Because it has some extra new components to the game. So here we're going to have our location cards. Use the new ones. So use only game 4 locations. Shuffle all the dark cards. Shuffle all the villains. Reveal 2. Shuffle all the Hogwarts cards. Same as everything. But now we have new 4 Hogwarts dice. Which are going to be used. Otherwise, everything else stays the same, basically. So some cards will let you roll the Hogwarts dice. For more details, see the next page. So, Hogwarts dice, we're going to have red for Gryffindor, green for Slytherin, blue for Ravenclaw, and yellow for Hufflepuff. There are 4 colored dice, 1 for each of the 4 houses. Some Hogwarts cards allow you to roll a specific dice as indicated by their house crest on that card. Your dice roll generates one of the 4 effects that benefits all heroes as follows. So if you roll an influence, all heroes gain an influence. If you roll an attack, all heroes gain an attack token. If you roll a heart, all heroes heal 1. If you get a card, all heroes draw a card. Note, all dice are different, but each have at least 1 symbol. So it has some link to different features. So if we look at these dice, they're really cool. Big, thick, translucent dice. So if we look at the Gryffindor one, we have 1, 2, 3 influence on there. And it looks like 3 influence and then 1 of each of the other symbols. So 1 attack, 1 health, 1 draw a card. So they're kind of be more about gaining more stuff. Look at Slytherin, of course. They're going to have 1 of each of the symbols there, the magic, and 3 attacks. So they're going to be more focused on attacks. If you want more attack, go for the Slytherin. You want more influence, go for Gryffindor. And Ravenclaw is going to have the ability to draw more cards. So they have 3 draw cards and 1 of each of the other symbols. And then Hufflepuff is going to have more healing. So they have 3 healing and 1 of each one. So that's a really interesting way to do that. Have each die have 1 of the 4 aspects of the game. Big, nice, chunky dice. The pictures on there kind of... I wonder how easily the pictures might start scratching off. Also, the fact is, because you have the little symbol on there, having to have the little reminder on there, which is kind of dumb, but it's what it is. But yeah, even nice that they use the exact same pictures, which is really cool. So what's cool is there's going to be cards in this box for set number 4 that are going to influence that. But then as we go through the other boxes and probably in the expansions, there are going to be more stuff that add more to that. So let's look at our allies. We're going to start with our Hogwarts deck. We're going to start with Fleur de Core. So we are in book 4, or book or movie 4. So we're in the Triwizard Cup. So we're going to get these guys allies. So she gains 2 influence. If you play another ally, also gain 2 health. So we have Cedric Diggory, who's going to let you gain 1 attack and roll the Hufflepuff dice. I do like that they show the symbol, but they also have the yellow on there as well, in case, for some reason, you don't know the symbols off the top of your head. We have Victor Crumb. So gain 2 attack. If you defeat a villain, also gain 1 influence and 1 health. Alistair Mad-Eye Moody. So gain 2 influence and remove 1 location. One of the little things. Controls from the location. I forgot what they're called. We have Pomona Sprout. So gain 1 influence. Any hero gains 2, and you roll the Hufflepuff dice. Phileas Flickwick, who gains 1 influence, draw a card, and roll the Ravenclaw dice. So then potentially draw more cards. Severus Snape. Gain 1 attack and 2 health, and roll the Slytherin guy. And then we have Minerva McGonagall. So we'll gain 1 influence and 1 attack and roll the Gryffindor guy. So very interesting to note, though. So just off of right now, Hufflepuff actually has a 1 die advantage over all this. They have 1 extra character. I get why the other 2 characters, the other Flora and Crumb, didn't have dice because they're not part of the Hogwarts. They're from other schools. So we have 3 copies of the Protect-to-Go spell. Or Protego spell. Gain 1 attack and 1 health. If you discard this, gain 1 attack and 1 health. And then we have 2 copies of Actio. Choose one. Gain 2 influence. Or search your discard pile for an item and put it into your hand. We are going to get 6 copies of Hogwarts, A History. Choose any one of the house dice to roll. Now, we were talking earlier about adding a card into the main deck to, like, maybe upgrade or change the deck. This could definitely be one card I could see adding in there at some point, because, like, at bare minimum, it gets you, what, 1 attack, 1 token, 1 draw a card, or thing we were talking about earlier. Like I said, having a thing that lets you draw an extra card is nice, but here it gives you, I just beat the crap out of my camera. It would give you an option of having one of those sport dice. It's kind of like early in the game. Even if you put this on game 1, right? And you started back at game 1 or early, however you play, anytime you start, right? Have the ability to, like, what do I really need to do this turn? Do I really need to attack? Do I really need to influence? Could I help drawing a card? Give you some good options to start with. It might even be, in a sense, it's a card in your deck as opposed to just saying, hey, every turn roll the die. You might not end up with this that often, but you at least did it in one of the first 2 turns. Could be interesting. We have the Pensieve, kind of like the scrying pool that Harry gets the space into. Any 2 heroes gain 1 influence and draw a card. And then the last one there is the Triwizard Cup, which gains 1 attack, 1 influence, and 1 health. Alright, so we have some locations here. We have the Quidditch World Cup. So this has 6 dark arts, or location controls, I should say. 2 dark arts. Triwizard Tournament. The Graveyard. When this location is revealed, all heroes discard an ally. So limits what you can do. This now has 7. So there's one thing I do think I like that they started doing more. I almost wish, to an extent, they made duplicate sides of these cards. So it's like one side just generic like this, and then one side had some special ability. Even if it was like, ignore the first card draw you do every turn, or ignore your first attack token you would gain. Like, right, just something simple like that, or like just discard one of your cards every turn, like when you enter the location. Even if it's just an enter a location thing or an every turn thing, I think it would have made the locations a little bit more interesting. We have some villains. We have a Death Eater. So each time Mordre, which is a Dark Arts card, or a new villain revealed, all heroes lose 1 health. All heroes gain 1 health and remove 1 control. And then we have a Barry Crouch Jr. All heroes cannot remove control from locations, so remove 2 from. So you have to focus on him if you're going to have a chance to remove some of them. Cool. Alright, then we have our Dark Arts. We're going to get a Regeneration, remove 2 damage from all heroes. We have 2 copies of the Monstra Morde. All heroes lose 1 health and add a control to the location. Imperio. Active hero chooses another hero to lose 2 health, revealing additional Dark Arts events. So I kind of like this. Like, again, it's a cooperative game, but hey, sometimes people get mind controlled or influenced in bad ways. Crucio. Active hero loses 1 health, revealing additional Dark Arts event. Abada Kedavra. I'm going to probably mess that up. Active hero loses 3 health. If it stuns the hero, also like 1 additional control location, revealing additional Dark Arts event. So those are kind of fun. These ones that make multiple appear are going to make the game more challenging. And then 2 copies of Heir to Slytherin. Roll the Slytherin die. So if you get a attack, all heroes lose a health. You get an influence, add 1 control to the location. Get a health, remove 1 damage from all villains, and you get a thing, all heroes discard a card. So that's kind of fun too. It's like, here's a negative thing to using the dice for, which I think is a really cool concept for adding that to the game. Alright, let's hop into game number 5. Gonna pour all the cards out. I think I got them all out. Yep. Alright. Game number 5. So we're getting towards the end of these. So what is game number 5 at for us? So we have usually the game 5 cards. Dark Arts Shuffle Gutters. Now, face Lord Voldemort. So place him face up on the bottom of the villain deck. So there's one big bad guy. We had 2 new villains. Now this is where it's going to slightly change. Shuffle the rest of the villain cards together, stack face down on top or below. Reveal the top 3 cards in the space below. And then shuffle all the Hogwarts. So now Voldemort's going to be on the bottom, so you know when you get to him. So you always know he's going to be the last guy you're facing. But we're also going to be fighting 3 villains from now on. So this is how the game is going to give it a little bit harder. And this is also like you play from the end of the game with everything mixed. This is how the game is more often going to be. Alright, so let's take a look at our Hogwarts cards. We're going to start with an ally in Luna Lovegood. So again, like Ginny, if you play as her as a player card, you're supposed to remove this from the deck. Which is a little bit abusive because she's one of the few guys that has an extra die attack. Now, could you keep them in there if you absolutely felt like it? You don't feel like digging through removing specific cards? Yeah, go ahead. It's not going to hurt anything. Just be like, hey, maybe she gets an extra activation. So gain 1 influence. If you play an item, you also gain 1 attack, and you get to roll the Ravenclaw die. So then we have Fred Weasley, gain 1 attack. If another hero has a Weasley in hand, all heroes gain 1 influence, and then roll the Gryffindor die. And then we also have George Weasley, who has the same effect. And I like the fact it's just Weasley, so it works for the mom and dad and Ginny as well as these 2, plus any other Weasleys we have. So if you had like Ron, and their other brother eventually, his name I can't remember. We have Cho Chang from Ravenclaw as well. So draw 3 cards and discard any 2, and then roll the Ravenclaw die. Name Fedora Tonks. Choose 1. Gain 3 influence or gain 2 attack, or remove 1 control from a location. Kingsley Shacklebolt. Gain 2 attack and 1 health. Remove 1 control from a location. We have 2 new Stupefies. Gain 1 attack, remove 1 control from a location, and draw a card. And then we have 2 Owls for the exams. Gain 2 influence. If you also play 2 or more spells, gain 1 attack and 1 health. So very fun there. Alright, our brand new locations. We're going to Azkaban. So here we have, 7 again. Then we're going to start off with the Halls of Prophecy. So each turn, reveal 2 dark arts for 7. Yeah, so again, I'm going to stop for just a quick second here, just to kind of like, so like Azkaban, it would have been kind of cool if they had an additional effect on here to have been like, to not play allies while this card's revealed, right? Shutting down, well, I shouldn't say well it's revealed. It's maybe like the turn it's revealed you can't play allies, you know, because that kind of hinders it. If you had it completely, you could even do it completely and shut it down, but then it would actually give you a reason to let villains take control of it. But maybe that's even a thing, right? All of a sudden, we're at this location. It's harder because we can't play any allies. So do we let the villains just take control of it? So that way we can play our allies again, but then you're risking them getting closer to winning. So it could actually be an interesting effect to the game. You have to play it to see how it's balanced. Same thing, you have Hall of Prophecies. What if you played with each dark art? The dark art, that top card always revealed. So you always knew what was coming, right? Whether you know you can stop or not. So that's kind of more of a beneficial one. Ministry of Magic. So this location revealed all heroes discard a spell. So I wish they had more stuff like that in all the rest of them. I think it would be kind of interesting. Alright, for our villains, we're going to start with Dolores Umbridge, the evilest of the evil. Each time a hero requires a card of 4 or more value or cost, that hero loses 1 health. And when you reward, all heroes gain 1 health and 1 influence and 2 health. And then we have another Death Eater. So we're just getting a second Death Eater in the game. There's plenty of them, so they can come up. That, other than Lord Voldemort, that's the only villain that's repeated. With some exceptions of the creatures. There's a couple of creatures that do as well. Then we have Lord Voldemort. So the first time we're fighting him is in Game 5. So this active hero loses 1 health and discards 1 card. May not be assigned attack until all other villains are defeated. You defeat them, the heroes win. So this is your initial full-on win condition is by beating him. But when he comes out, so he'll be at the bottom of the deck, and you'll have 3 guys and 3 guys. And once you defeat the final guy in the stack, and you defeat 1 guy in the open location, then he appears, and now you have to fight him. So yeah, so it's as soon as it says play space up at the bottom of the villain deck. Unlike other villains, as soon as he's revealed, no, this can force you to resolve your ability of 4 villains on your turn. So he doesn't take the place of one of the 3. As soon as you get to the bottom of the stack, he's revealed. So you're gonna have 4 villains out at a time. So when you know you're kind of getting maybe close to the end, you might want to maybe focus on doing a little bit of damage to every guy versus just taking out 1 guy at a time. Could make the game interesting. Alright, then we have our Dark Arts. We have another Imperial, so we get another one copy from the last set. And this is where we start getting a little bit more duplicates on some of these, because they're a little bit more difficult spells or events to deal with. Such as active hero chooses another hero who loses 2 damage, revealing an additional card. Another Crucio, active hero loses 1 heart, revealing an additional event. Another Abacadabra, so it's 3 health, sends a hero, also loses your location. And then we have another Mors Morade, Mors Mordore, all heroes lose 1 health, and add 1 controllable location. So a brand new one we have is Legitimacy. All heroes reveal the top card of their deck. If that hero reads a spell, discard it and lose 2 health. And then we have 2 copies of Educational Decree. For each card with a value of 4 or more in hand, active hero loses 1 health. So it works like Umbrages, who just now have to deal with her. Alright, so on to game number 6. So game number 6 is going to add some new stuff to the game as well. So use game 6 locations, shuffle your Dark Arts together. So Lord Voldemort replaces the game 5 Lord Voldemorts. Now we have a different one to play as. I have 2 more villain cards, so shuffle them like we did with the other ones. Then Hogwarts cards, shuffle all of them. And then we have new proficiency cards. This will replace the turn order card above your player board. So new Voldemort goes on the bottom. We have our new guys in there we have to fight. And then we have Prepare Your Hero. The OWL results have arrived. Heroes set up a similar game to 3 to 5, but with the addition of your OWL proficiency. Choose 1 proficiency card in your hero to grant you a special ability along that with your hero. Unless otherwise noted, proficiency can only be used on your turn. Replace the turn order card above your player's new card. So this again, like we mentioned, there's nothing in the game that adjusts your deck as you play through game after game after game, or you don't upgrade your deck as it gets harder. But if you're playing all the way through, you're starting to mix more of these cards, this is your upgrade. You got a better hero card with an ability. Now you got an extra skill to use. And if you're playing the full game, you just start with these things. You have 2 extra effects you can use pretty much every turn. So all the other stuff says game 5. Remember, you just have to defeat all villains before you can defeat Lord Voldemort. Says, remember to use your new proficiency. So let's take a look at those proficiencies quick to see what those are going to do for us. So they're going to have a little scroll on the back. And they're going to be, maybe your defense against the dark arts. With Magi Moody here. So this is each time a dark art event or villain causes you to discard a card, gaining attack and a health. So that could be helpful if you decide that's maybe your crux. And this is also a fun part about playing the game through, because you might realize, what do I keep feeling like happens to me? Like, what do I feel like I'm lacking? We have Transfiguration. He's not focused very well. There we go. Once per turn, you may discard an item to search your deck for a card with a value of 5 or less. And add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Divination. Each time you play an item card, you may look at the top card of your deck and choose to leave it on the top or discard it. Charms. Once per turn, you may discard 2 spells. If you do, all heroes gain 1 influence and draw a card. Potions. Snape. If you play at least 1 ally, item, and spell, add any one hero gains an attack and a heart. Herbology. If a hero gains 3 or more health on your turn, that hero draws a card. the history of magic. Each time you acquire a spell, any one hero gains an influence. Flying lessons. Once per turn, you may discard 5 influence. If you do, remove 1 control from a location. And Arthromancy. Cards that let you roll a house die cost you 1 less point to acquire. Each time you roll a die, you may choose to re-roll it once. So these are really cool. They're really neat ways good. They're not, again, like game-breaking or like ultimate abilities or something like, oh, I have to spend a ton of stuff to build up to use them. Some like use them every single turn. Some might be every couple of turns. Like this one might not come up as often, but having more cards that let you roll dice could potentially be really beneficial for you. So very cool. I like that that's a unique mechanic that adds in the game. Alright, so our new Hogwarts, we only got one new ally in the form of Horace Slughorn, which is all heroes choose to either gain 1 influence or 1 heart and then roll the Slytherin die. We have 2 new spells. We have Confundus, gain 1 attack. If you assign at least 1 attack to each villain, also remove 1 control from the location. So we have the Elder Wand. We only get 1 copy of this. For each spell played this turn, gain 1 attack and 1 health, in addition to the spell's ability. 2 copies of Felix Felicius. Choose 2. Gain 2 attack, or gain 2 influence, or gain 2 health, or draw 2 cards. 2 copies of the Benzor. Any one hero gains 3 health and draw a card. We have 1 copy of the Deluminator. Move up to 2 control from a location. And then the last one is Advanced Potion Making. All heroes gain 2 health. Then each hero at maximum health gains 1 attack and draws a card. So if you time this right, that could be super helpful. Very cool. Alright, then our locations. We're going to be Nocturne Alley with some wanted posters. So this has, again, 7. And it's going to give us a thing. So again, there should be something cool. They could have just had, like, when this location, like, I guess this is the first location, so maybe not the first one. But I would have been put them on the first ones. I would have been, like, first thing, like, when this is up, like, every time a new hero, or a new villain is revealed, deal 1 damage to the active player. Like, right, very simple, not game-breaking, but it would have, like, again, gave you more reasons to work on obviously, again, it's a negative thing. So it's like, it might, again, make you want to let that thing go, but I think it also, it make the locations a little bit more interesting. Have some positive, have some negative, because that way you can then mix them later in the games. We have the Burrow, which again has 7, gives you 2 dark arts. And the Astronomy Tower. This location is revealed all heroes discard an item. So yeah, this one now just 3 dark arts. So you're going to be going through them dark arts a lot quicker. We have 2 new main villains. We have Fenrir Greyback. Heroes cannot gain health. And all heroes gain 3 health. Remove 2 control from the location. And then we have Bellatrix Lestrange. Reveal an additional dark arts event each turn. Now imagine you're playing on the 4th one. The 3rd location, you have 4 every turn. Ugh. All heroes may search their discard pile for an item and put it into their hand. Remove 2 from the location. So this is definitely one where, like, her coming up against location 1. Oh, so there's only 2 every turn, not a big boom. If she's still around or pops out when location 3's there, she's going to be a giant pain. Then we have the new Lord Voldemort, which upgrades from the other one. So this one instead says, roll 1 Slytherin die. It says either you're going to roll an attack to lose a health, an influence to add a control to the location, a health to remove a health from all villains, or a card all heroes discard a card. It may not be assigned attack until all other villains are defeated. This just makes him a little bit more powerful you have to fight against. Cool. So now we have our dark arts. We have another Mors de Moray. So we have 4 of them now, I think. I think that's the only one with 4. A couple of them have 3. Most of them only have 2 or 1. But now we have 2 copies of Septum Sempra. So all heroes lose 2 health and cannot gain health this turn. The only other thing I wish they kind of would have done, I know I'm sort of picking apart things on this game, but I don't mean to be in a terribly bad way. I really think this is a very interesting game. But would have been interesting to bang for some of these events if, like, just game design wise, if they had an instant effect and then they had an ongoing effect, they would have had like little indicators or had them separated. So like this should have been like, when revealed, all heroes gain 2 health. Stop. And then it said like ongoing. Cannot. Well, I guess that's only this turn, so when it comes up, but they only activate for that turn, I guess. Anyhow, they don't stay up. So I guess that wouldn't have made any sense anyhow. So I'm just spouting nonsense. But that's all right. All right. So then we're moving on to the final set. As we have Game 7. We're up to the big bag. We're up to the last part. Can we defeat Lord Voldemort for once and for all? Alright, so what do we have for new rules? Locations, use 7. Dark Arts, all Dark Arts. Voldemort replaces in Game 5 and 6 Voldemort. So we have a third version of him. Hogwarts, shuffle all them together. We have Expert Hero cards, so now we have new hero cards to play as. We have new Horcrux cards, so a brand new stack, and Horcrux tokens. So we're going to add special Horcrux tokens up here. So they're going to add next thing. We have our new Voldemort on the bottom there. We have some tokens there. So I'm going to look at how Horcrux is version 6. So replace your Game 3 hero with an even more powerful version of hero. Remember, you still only begin with the first starting cards. But you still have your proficiency as well. So Horcrux are going to basically work kind of like everything else in there. So we have the... Just showing it's a Horcrux. Horcrux effects, what it's going to do, kind of like an event card. You play them in order like locations, 1 through 6. To destroy, the dice the dice rolls needed to destroy the Horcrux, and then the ability for defeating it. So before any damage can be decided to Lord Voldemort, all 6 Horcruxes must be destroyed in addition to defeating all the villains. You can attempt to destroy a Horcrux at any point during the game. You do not have to wait till Lord Voldemort appears to start destroying them. So yeah, you can just, like, if early on you get a die roll and you get one of the things, go ahead and start putting them on there, if you can. But you gotta be careful because every time you do that, you're sacrificing your ability. So you evolve villain and Horcrux abilities after the Dark Arts. Player Hogwarts card take hero actions. So just remember you have to defeat all the Horcruxes, all villains, before you can do that. So destroy a Horcrux. Destroy a Horcrux, you must acquire it and play the cards to let you roll house dice. First, a few Horcruxes only require a single symbol, but later Horcruxes require a combination. Use your 4 Horcrux tokens as a reminder of which symbols have been rolled. When the die is assigned, the Horcrux heroes may not also claim the effect. So if, like, for example, you use this effect, it's either I can roll the dice for the symbol or I can gain the effect on the symbol, but you can't do both. Once all the symbols required destroy Horcruxes are rolled, your active hero collects a card. You gain the ability that you may use for the rest of the game, including the turn you collect it. Note Horcruxes are stacked in order. As soon as one destroys, the next one becomes activated. Yeah, so very cool. So it's just kind of saying that. So then it says, end of the game. Celebrate. You have defeated Lord Voldemort and secured the Wizarding Warrior. Wizarding World. Alright, I'm going to look at that at the end because it kind of explains how to mix stuff together. So first of all, let's look at our updated character cards. So, I think they have little fires on the bottom to differentiate them from the other ones. This is Game 7, so we have fully teenaged Harry Potter. So this is the first time a location control is removed from the location. Each turn, heroes gain up to 2... Blah, blah, blah. Let me start that. The first time a control is removed from a location, each turn up to 2 heroes gaining an attack. So I think it's just making his current ability better. It doesn't change it. So it's not like, oh, should I play this one or should I play that one? So it says Hermione Granger, if you play 4 or more spells on your turn, all heroes gain 1 influence. So it's just they are fully upgraded cards, so there's no reason to be like, oh, I should play the older ones instead. Which I think is a really good way to do that. Ron Weasley, if you assign 3 or more damage on your turn, all heroes gain 2 health. And Neville Longbottom. Each time a hero gains a health on your turn, that hero gains 1 additional health. So yeah, just upgraded versions of the other ones. So when you finally play the full game with everything, only use these versions of the characters. If you are mixing in Ginny or Luna from the expansions, their cards are equivalent to Game 7 cards. So the thing is, if you start on Game 1 and 2, just don't use a card. Not a big deal. But if you're playing Games 3, 4, 5, and 6, their ability might be a little bit more abusive. I haven't looked at them as a comparison, but it is a possibility. Alright, then we have the one item card is a Sword of Gryffindor. So, gain 2 dice, or gain 2 attack, and then roll the die twice. So that's very powerful, which is, very cool. Alright, so then we're going to look at I'm popping out my tokens left and right. We're going to look at our locations. We have Gordrick's Hollow. So this is back down to 6. We have Gringotts, which has 2 things, but there's also 3 or 4, so we have 4 locations. The Room of Requirement, so it does 7 and requires 2. And then finally we have Hogwarts Castle. When this location revealed, all heroes lose 2 health. Active hero may discard 5 attack to remove 1 location. This has 8. So it's the hardest one to defeat. Our only villain is the upgraded Lord Voldemort, which now has 20. So his original one had 10, then he went to 15, now he's up to 20. So add 1 control to the location. Each time a control is removed from the location, all heroes lose 1 health. Actually, all their villains are defeated. So very interesting there. Alright, then we have some new Dark Arts cards. So we have Fiend Fire, so all heroes lose 3 health. We have an additional Imperial, which I've read before, an additional Crucio, and an additional Abacadabra. So just more of those. Then we have the Horcruxes. So these guys have this symbol. The Horcruxes are going to have the snake symbol. So they just kind of show up different. So then we're going to have an actual chipboard for tokens. These tokens are used as a reminder of which dice have already been rolled when destroying Horcruxes. So there's only 4 of them, because you only have 1 at a time. So the first one's the diary. Each time a hero plays an ally, that hero loses 1 health. So destroying these quicker is sometimes, again, do I need to get rid of that ability, or I need to focus on trying to get rid of a villain? Different things. Again, it's attack versus other things as well. If you play 2 or more allies, any 1 hero gains 2 health. So kind of cool though, you get a special ability for the rest of the game as well. This is a heart or a card. So again, rolling Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw are going to give you the best chance of getting that ability. Then we have the ring. Whenever a hero assigns 2 or more damage to a villain, that hero loses 2 health. Requires an attack or influence, such as Gryffindor or Slytherin. Once per turn, you may discard 2 cards. If you do, remove 1 control from the location. And these are obviously why they're going to make Voldemort defeating these, are going to make him easier to beat as well. Because now if you're able to keep removing locations, that's going to help you. If you can do some of these other things, that's going to help. So if we get the Locket, heroes cannot gain attack or influence on other players' turns. And then your reward, once per turn, you may discard a card, but you do roll a Slytherin die. So this will get you a lot more attack cards. So here, if we defeat the Cup, start of each turn, remove one attack from all villains. It's going to heal them. And then once per turn, you may discard a card, but you do roll the Hufflepuff dice. For the Diadem, at the start of each turn, the active hero has at least 1 ally, item, and spell in hand. That hero loses 2 health. Once per turn, you may discard die to roll the Ravenclaw die. And then finally, we have Nagani. At the start of each turn, active hero loses 1 health and cannot gain health this turn. So this one, now up to this point, I just want to put out. So or, and then that's the third one. It says and. So now you need both. So if you play a heart, you can drop a heart on there. If you play the attack, you can play the attack to keep track of which one you've done. So we have an and, and then the last one requires 3 of them. So it says once per day, may discard to remove 3 things from a location. So very cool. And this could again be done before you even get to the last location or wherever. So yeah, lots of really cool stuff in there for this game. And again, the Horcruxes at the end are saying it's just you're upping the difficulty instead of just harder villains. Now you have another entire thing to deal with. Plus you get upgraded heroes. stuff like that. So I did also mention during the game there was, instead of proficiencies, there's also Patronus. That's in the charms box. I believe. It's in the charm. No, it's in the monster box. You get the Patronus card, so you actually get a different thing to swap out instead of proficiencies instead. So that's the very last thing on here. It says, if you want to replay Game 7 with increased difficulty, stack all 3 Lord Voldemort cards in game order, 5, 6, 7 at the bottom of the villain deck. To increase the difficulty of any game or to play through all games and increase difficulty, start each game with a 1 or 2 controls at the location, or add 1 to each location as 1 is revealed. Overrun has captured Hogwarts, and a conquest or wins to reset the game. For an easier final game, you may choose not to include the Horcruxes. Then returning them to the box. Overrun may be assigned damage if all the villains are defeated. So that's definitely a way to do that as well. Another thing I just want to mention, it's not showing in here, but is brought up in one of the expansions, is especially once you start adding a lot more extra cards and extra stuff to the deck, they have a way to actually expand the villains out even further by shuffling Lord Voldemort multiple times into the deck. So like he comes up like the 10 attack or health one comes up like after like the first couple of villains, then later you fight the 15, and you fight 20 at the end. Which I actually think is a little bit more interesting than having them all at the end and just having to fight them 3 times. Because of the fact is if you put them all at the end and you have to defeat everyone first, I'm basically fighting a 35 cost Lord Voldemort versus having to maybe defeat him throughout the game. Where when he pops up earlier, you can still attack him. He's in like a weakened state. So it's kind of an interesting game idea. Alright, cool. So a quick change. I was going to do end the video with showing how you combine everything into one box between the base game and the expansions. I decided to move that into a separate video, which will be in the link in the descriptions along with the all the core set and the expansions if you want to check out each individual video or check out that. I'll also kind of be doing a comparison to some of the cards in between, like looking at the different levels of each of the main heroes and different Voldemort and stuff like that. So yeah, head over and check that out if you want to see some more content. See you guys later. Bye.